Greetings, fellow humans. I am Hugh.
And I am Man.
And together we are definitely not two kobolds in a trench coat. We enjoy human activities, such as paying taxes,
having existential crises,
and RPG horror stories. Let's see what we've got today. Today, we have a Vengence Paladin who goes on an unprovoked killing spree, and a DM who very clearly is playing favourites with the party. Oath of Vengeance Run Amok by Reddit user Edric14. So not too horrific of a story, but it is leading me and possibly others to leave the group. I joined an in-person D&D game back in March 2024. I was a very experienced player. I've been a DM for years. Most of the other players were newish, with one or two people with a little under their belts. The DM had some experience with his buddies growing up, but has never played in someone else's campaign, I believe, and never played an official adventure. He is also a big Critical Role fan, to the point of posters, merch, etc. I mention all of this to let you, dear reader, know that he, the DM, may have a somewhat skewed idea of D&D 5e.
I was going to say, I don't know that being a fan of Critical Role makes you have a skewed idea of D&D 5e.
We all know the Mercer effect skews people's expectations of what a DM can do, and it might skew people's idea of what a game of D&D should be like, i.e. the quality of roleplay.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's just sometimes Critical Role fans get a little bit of a bad rap for getting a bit of high expectations, and that's not all of us. Some of us know exactly how D&D works, even though we're massive fans of the show.
We didn't have a real session 0, just a couple of posts in Discord. I should have run then, as that's a classic red flag, right? No session 0. We all make characters, 6 people. We had a druid, a fighter, a sorcerer, a ranger, later replaced by a bard, a paladin, and me, a wizard. So the paladin is a newbie. Used some D&D from video games like Baldur's Gate 3, but no actual experience playing. This is important to remember for later on in the story. He goes Oath of Vengeance. This dude is one of those folks who always seems to be somewhat angry about something. Job, the world, whatever.
Alright, as an Oath of Vengeance paladin player myself, yeah, I can see where the edgy could come in. I could see that drawing an edgy type.
Oh no, an angry paladin. Totally not heard of one of those before.
Yeah, we've never heard of an edgelord paladin before ever. This is completely new information for us.
First few sessions go well. DM impressed me, to be honest. His plot/story were honestly pretty bad. We were all told to go get this MacGuffin that is just a small chest that expels the smoke from the D&D movie. Yes, he was stealing the plot from the D&D movie for this. But he was very good at role-playing, immersion, rules knowledge, so I'm all like, yeah, I can give this a shot. His lore knowledge was pretty low, but it was kind of homebrew, so that's fine. Just annoying. Example, he has been using red wizards as the big bads, yet makes them all women like in the movie and calls them red witches. I asked if he meant red wizards, the ones from They. He was like, yeah, but they are women, so they are witches. Dude, this isn't Harry Potter. Wizard is gender neutral here, so no biggie. The problem is the paladin. He has decided that Oath of Vengeance means anything goes for even the slightest transgression. He regularly insists on torturing or attempting to torture enemies. And this isn't just, hey, I torture them, make a roll, works, doesn't work. He wants to describe what he does, breaking hands, fingers, etc. Now, this makes me kind of uncomfortable. I really am not looking for torture reenactments in my fantasy RPG. I want classic good guys saving people, fighting evil stuff, which is what I had been led to believe the campaign was.
Again, as somebody who's played an Oath of Vengeance paladin, Oath of Vengeance does not mean that you want vengeance for every little thing. It means that there is big picture, something that you are seeking vengeance for. Not that you're gonna just be an a-hole on purpose to literally everybody. Really, he should have been Oath of Pettiness.
Paladin spends the next 2 sessions, and every time we capture someone, which he insists on all the time, complaining about my character being no fun because he won't endorse torture of captives. I explained to him that my character is very good aligned and wouldn't support anything like that. He does this in character, but he also does it out of character. No correction of behaviour, no comment at all from the DM. The Paladin player is one of those folks who constantly talks smack to some people for whatever reason. Like, I'm older than a lot of the other players, brings that up all the time. Another player is very bald. Every time someone mentions hair, he has to make some smart comment about how that player wouldn't know. That sort of thing. He also constantly has to be the center of attention. Whenever someone else has something going on, he is always trying to insert himself into the situation. So I like most of the folks in the group. So despite my misgivings, I stay. I figure the DM just needs some more experience and maybe the pally can chill eventually. Meanwhile, as we get to 5th level, we have received less than 200 gold pieces per person for the entire campaign and no magic items. Kind of frustrating when you play a wizard since I can't copy spells if I have no money. Cut to last session. The sorcerer in our group is Divine Soul and has this kind of cool story going on about whether they can redeem themselves for a past horrific action. He has been told to keep an eye out for a certain symbol and if he sees it, to follow it. He sees it, we follow. 3 city guards were chasing a fugitive. They had him trapped in a tree and were trying to talk him down. Figuring this is a role-playing scene for the sorcerer, most of us take a back seat and let him take the lead since this is his whole thing. But oh, not our pally. No sir. He's gone a whole 10 to 15 minutes without doing stuff. Guess what else we did this session? If you said capture and interrogate an enemy, you win the prize, cause it's all we ever do. This is unacceptable to him. So Pally says to the DM, "Hey, can I move around so I can line these guys up?" "Sure," says the DM. He then uses his breath weapon on them. These guards had committed no violence, did not even have weapons drawn. Our sorcerer had passed some insight checks and knew they weren't chasing the fugitive legitimately. It was a guard abusing their authority to lock up a rival for a woman's love. Kinda neat. But our sorcerer had not communicated this to the rest of us, who were content to be his backup and let him do his thing. So 3 guards, who as far as the rest of us know have done nothing wrong and are pursuing their rightful duty. As soon as the pally announces his attack, some chaos at the table. I inform him he's 2 seconds away from me attacking him. He demands to know why. I reply, because you are attempting to murder 3 officers of the law who have taken no offensive actions against anyone here, and my character is strongly good aligned. He replies, Vengeance pallies don't have to be good. Agreed, and can do whatever they want in pursuit of justice. I point out that the guards had done nothing wrong as far as any of us knew, so how was this related to him making a vengeance oath because a dragon had killed his family? He said it didn't have to be.
So he's playing chaotic stupid.
You know what? These kind of guys, they are just literally out to hurt people and are just looking to make up excuses. This is not someone I would want to know in real life because I suspect this intolerable attitude really does extend to who they are.
Oh yeah, this is his whole personality.
Session ended shortly after. DM said nothing about the pally's actions. I'm a bit surprised here, as I'd be having convo with the pally in my campaign about possible Oathbreaker status if they keep harming innocent people, who have nothing to do with your oath in any way whatsoever. I decided I'm kinda done. I wanted to be a hero, not indulge the pally in his torture, violence, look at me antics. Later, at a one-shot a player is running, the argument comes up again. The pally again quotes the player's handbook tenet about any means necessary and not needing to be good. Now, I had been kind of pulling my super nerdy lore-heavy punches with him and the DM, but I'd had enough at this point after 6 months of this stuff. So I go off. Cite multiple quotes from the player's handbooks about all pallies fighting evil, quotes from the class about being neutral or lawful neutral, and that those are not the kind of let me murder some guards for fun type people. Quotes comparing the class to Batman. They don't care. The DM tells me it's up to the player. I remind him that he's a DM, and if Pally is an Oathbreaker, that's his call. So long story short, if you spot red flags early and your DM lets them go, you may want to jump ship and find a better game. Which, silver lining, I did. Me and a couple of people from the prior group have started our own thing that's going great, and torture-free. Thanks for reading my rant, everyone.
Yeah, definitely a good choice just getting the hell out of there. Clearly the DM is totally fine with the Paladin just wanting to kill and torture everybody in his path. And that's not a campaign that's going to be fun for anybody except for the Paladin.
If the DM was coming down on him and giving him consequences for his actions, yeah, it gets sorted out and you probably could have stayed. But this campaign was just turning into nothing but this guy running around crying heretic and torturing people for no reason.
Like I said, I've played an Oath of Vengeance Paladin before. This is the thing with Paladins, is that people will play them as either like high and mighty, stick up your butt kind of character, or they play them chaotic, stupid edgelord. And it's so frustrating. Paladins can actually be really interesting to play because there is a lot of nuance to them, just like there's a lot of nuance to other characters. But for whatever reason, they just attract the people that want to play the black and white stereotypes of what they think Paladins are. DM tried to kill my character in the first session while letting the rogue do whatever he wanted. By Reddit user Shyguard. I'm a longtime DM, and as such, I don't get to play very often. So, after posting in a Discord about wanting to play, I joined an online group. There was a paladin, me, a rogue, and a wizard. The DM sent us off on a couple of simple quests: kill some wolves, try to steal back an item from some harpies. At first, everything was going fine. We travel through the woods, find the wolves, and roll initiative. This is where it started to go bad. The wizard and I both rolled okay initiative. Rogue rolled a nat 20. The DM tells the rogue that he can have 2 full turns during the surprise round before we start initiative because of his nat 20. So the rogue, a level 3 assassin, charges in, and the DM grants his sneak attack at every hit, which is an auto crit because of the surprise round and assassinate. The rogue just goes crazy, just killing off like 5 of the wolves during his 2 free turns. Then initiative starts, and everything kind of proceeds smoothly, even though over half of the wolves were dead at this point. Then we headed off to the harpy quest. The DM informed us that the harpies weren't evil, so we didn't have to kill them. Just try and get back the item that they'd stolen. The harpy's nest was an abandoned building at the side of the cliff, with 100 drop to the crashing waves below. There was a small pathway leading through the cave that we could use to approach the harpies. The rogue charges ahead, making a single stealth check to move around 100 or so feet towards the harpies. Both Wizard and I stayed back, on Rogue's orders, until he was far enough ahead. I then tried to move quietly, rolling a stealth check at disadvantage. To my dismay, I rolled 2 nat 1s. The DM informed me that the sound of my chainmail armor clanking startled the harpies to my presence, and now they were pissed. Cue the initiative rolls. I rolled less than the harpies, so they got to act before me and the wizard, while the rogue continued to creep towards them. The harpies hit with their luring song, which somehow I was the only one that had to make the saving throw on, despite the text saying that every creature in 300 feet, such as the wizard, standing 10 feet away from me.
Okay, yeah, this definitely sounds fishy. Surprise round, yeah, sure, you get a surprise round of attack, not 2. Why on earth does the rogue and the rogue only get that? It's usually the whole party, if anyone is at all. And then to have you be the only one make a saving throw for the harpies? This really does seem like the DM loves the rogue and hates you, and I don't know why.
I, of course, failed the save. I am now charmed by the harpies. One of the harpies picks me up and drags me off the cliff, holding me some 100+ feet up over the open water and crushing waves. If they drop me, I'm dead. The fall would drop me to 0, and since no one can save me, that's it for my character. On the rogue's turn, he moves some 60 feet into the harpy's nest, searches for the item, finds a locked chest, is able to unlock the chest, pick up the item, move it out of the house, and some 60 feet away, not making a single stealth check or even roll to pick the lock. All of this is done while we're still in initiative. On Wizard's turn, he attempts to talk to the harpies, but they're angry because I made noise apparently, since that's literally all that has happened. Wizard and the harpies argue back and forth for several minutes about releasing me and letting us leave. Wizard and harpies argue back and forth for some minutes about releasing me and letting us leave. The DM skips my turn since I can't do anything, despite the fact that I should have gotten a chance to save from the charm. Rogue then gets to move super speed again back through the cave towards us, where he walks out and tries to calm the harpies by talking to them. Not once did the rogue have to roll persuasion checks or anything, he just got to do it. After a bit of back and forth and more than one threat to simply drop me for disturbing them, the rogue is forced to give up his bag of holding, which he had just purchased at the start of the session, to appease the harpies. After forcing me to agree to repay him the price that he paid for the bag, otherwise they would just leave me there. The harpies released me and flew away, and we got out of there. Once we were back in town, the session came to an end, and I left the party telling the DM I wouldn't be back. As far as I know, no one in the group had known each other before we started playing. This was our first session together and my only session with the group. Any attempt I made to try and tell the DM that he skipped my turn or didn't let me make my save was ignored, and I was berated by the other 2 players for pissing off the harpies, when again, literally all I did was take a few steps forward and made noise.
I really think there's something we're missing here, or at least you may not have known, OP. This feels really targeted. Maybe they just had a habit of targeting the new person in the group in this way. I don't know, but this really feels personal in some very seemingly undeserved way.
OP said that nobody knew each other as far as they knew, and I guess I'm inclined to believe them. I mean, letting the rogue do all that in one turn, walk 60 feet, do the thing, pick the lock, no checks, no nothing, and you can't even like try to get out from under the charm? Does the DM just really love rogues and hates paladins? Like,
I think this is a bit more personal than that, although generally paladins are a problem.
I mean, for once, the paladin wasn't the problem player.
I would definitely put money on these 2 knowing each other. This really feels like the DM is setting the rogue up to be the hero of everything, and basically turning you into a damsel in distress / liability in order to make the rogue look like a hero. I'm making a lot of assumptions there, but that's just the first thing that comes to mind as an explainer for what the nerf is going on here.
Yeah, it's either a situation of they knew each other before, or maybe the DM like had a little crush on the rogue, because that's the only way to really explain why there would be so much favoritism. Hey Hugh.
Yes, man.
What do you call a knight who's too afraid to fight?
I don't know. What you call him?
Surrender.
And with that, we have definitely not been 2 kobolds in a trench coat. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and make the necessary sacrifices to Tiamat. We'll see you next time.